What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media. I am Ken, here today to review and talk about a Criterion release that came out in 2010. This movie is from 1993, and it is Guillermo del Toro's CRONOS, his first film. So yeah, I'm going to talk about this older Criterion title today because we are kind of wrapping up Criterion month, the month of July. It's been very exciting with that 50% off sale. So I thought I would review a couple of the titles. I'm going to review this and maybe one more. I may or may not get to it, I'm not sure. But yeah, I wanted to at least spotlight a couple Criterions that I picked up during the sale before the month of July ends. So yeah, I'm super excited to kind of dive into this one and give my thoughts on this very early Guillermo del Toro film. But before I do that, guys, I want to ask that if you are not yet a subscriber of the Mid-Level Media channel, what are you waiting for? I do all kinds of physical media based content on this channel that I'm sure you would love if you love Blu-rays, if you love 4Ks, hell, if you even love DVDs. I do DVD content as well. Hit that subscribe button for more great content. Also, be sure to like this video, guys. Don't go any further in the video before you hit that like button. It helps the video out, helps the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. And also comment down below, what are your thoughts on the film CRONOS? What are your thoughts on Guillermo del Toro as a director in general? I want to know. I need to know. So comment that down below. So let's get into this movie, guys. And like I said, an earlier Criterion Collection release came out in 2010, directed by Guillermo del Toro. This was his first film. I think after this is when he did Mimic and then The Devil's Backbone, and then kind of made a name for himself doing Pan's Labyrinth and Hellboy and all that stuff after that. So, but this is the first film of his, and this is starring, you got Ron Perlman, which is probably the most notable actor in this movie. This is actually where his relationship, his working relationship with Ron Perlman actually started. The movie's also got the actors' names on the back, but it's, I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly. Somebody always leaves comments down below, like when I mispronounce actors. The only thing I can say is I'm an imperfect human, putting myself out there on YouTube every day, and I am going to mispronounce names from time to time. So I'm trying to find, all right, Federico Lupi, and I'm sure I butchered that, but that's the main actor in the film. That's the older man that discovers the device. So yeah, I didn't really know anything about this film other than I've seen images of this like little contraption, like amulet thing. And I always was intrigued by it. It always looked really cool just to kind of go back and see where Guillermo kind of got his roots and got his start. So I was interested in it based off of that and just knowing who he was as a director, but I didn't really know anything about this movie. And it's an interesting story kind of about immortality. It's kind of a monster movie. It's kind of a low-key kind of vampire Dracula type movie, and Guillermo even talks about that in the special features, how that's kind of what he was going for. This was like his take on like a vampire Dracula type film, like an old school like Universal Monsters type movie, only with his spin and his take on it. So I found the story very interesting. The performances were all very good. This is a Spanish movie, so most of it is in Spanish with English subtitles, although Ron Perlman, the one English actor in the movie, does speak English from time to time in it. He also speaks Spanish, but you get that certain moments with him speaking English. So there is a little bit of English in the movie, but everybody else in the film is Spanish actors and stuff, and they all speak in Spanish. So yeah, I thought all the performances really good. Perlman, it's really interesting kind of seeing him in an earlier role. He's a solid actor in this movie. I think that there's certain scenes where he definitely like goes for it. Is a little bit over the top. He kind of comes from that cult-like film background, as I saw in the special features and films like Ice Pirates, and a couple of them. He has a very distinct look to him, so I can understand like why people would cast Ron Perlman. But yeah, it's not what I would call like a great performance. He kind of feels like he's in a different movie almost at times than all of the other actors, besides the fact that he's the only one that's speaking English. But it's an interesting performance by him. I just can't say that it's like the best in the movie or anything. But I love the relationship with the granddaughter and the grandfather in the movie, and just kind of going into what this movie is about. Basically, You have this this amulet or whatever, this device that they discover underneath a statue. The grandfather does, and I can't remember his name or anything. The grandfather and the granddaughter discover this little like amulet device thing, and basically like he holds it in his hand and it like bites him, and like this little contraption thing kind of comes out of it, like these legs, and it kind of latches itself onto his hand, and it just kind of, I guess, like sucks his blood or does something to him. The device itself, I guess, is like a vampire, which is kind of interesting because in the movie, like, you get to see the device from inside the device perspective, which is like a really weird take that I don't think you get to see a lot. It's kind of interesting. And inside that device, there's like this little, like this thing that looks like it's alive and it's kind of pulsating. So yeah, it's kind of cool how it does it. And at first I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, that's the inside of the device. So it's kind of interesting just the way it does that. Every time it latches onto something, you get to see from inside the device perspective, and like the cranks and the gears and stuff all turning. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, that device is kind of like a vampire. It latches onto him, and it basically kind of, it's like the fountain of youth that like gives him immortality, turns him into a monster. And yeah, this movie, it starts off very slow, I would say, almost to the point where like 45 minutes in, I was kind of bored. It didn't feel like it was going in very interesting directions. Like, it's a beautifully shot movie. It's interesting just aesthetically to watch, but I was kind of just like, all right, well, he's been bit, like the story's in motion, but you're not really going anywhere. You're like, let's pick it up a little bit. So you get to the hour mark, and I think it does pick up in those last 20-25 minutes. I actually think the last 20-25 minutes are definitely the strongest of the movie, and definitely elevated the movie for me after I saw them. But yeah, it starts off slow, it picks up. There's some really like good makeup effects here, in particular, like leading into the end. And I'm not going to like spoil the twist that happens. Not really a twist, but just something that happens around that 55-minute mark to an hour mark that kind of like sets the movie on a different course. But yeah, there's some really cool like makeup effects and monster effects and stuff like that. Some good gore, some very gross scenes in this movie. And the one that just made me cringe, where I couldn't look at the screen. I like had to look away. So I had this thing about bathroom floors. Anyway, I'm sure everybody thinks they're disgusting, but you walk into a public bathroom, and I hate it. I hate walking into a public bathroom. The floors like just gross me out always. It doesn't matter if it's the cleanest bathroom floor that you could possibly imagine or walk into. It still grosses me out. So there's a scene in this movie, and I'm sorry, I'll spoil it a little bit. So like I said, he's turning into a vampire almost. It's like turning into a monster of sorts. So this guy has a nosebleed. So he bleeds all over the sink. He bleeds on the floor. And then when the guy walks out, like, it's really weird how he just walks out and leaves the blood all over the sink. Like, who would do that? But anyway, he walks over to the sink and he's like scooping the blood, and he's almost getting ready to eat it, and then somebody walks in. So it's just it's really gross just how they portray it, because you know, like, his intention when he's scooping it, that he wants to lick it, he wants to eat it, and it's just like, no, don't do that. Like, I couldn't in that moment. But anyway, the guy walks in and fortunately saves it. He doesn't get to do that because he rinses the sink out and everything like that. Oh, who would leave this? Blah, 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 blah. And then he walks out, and then he notices blood on the floor, and he goes down there and he licks the blood off the floor in like the most almost seductive way possible that you could lick a bathroom floor. He's just down there, like, his tongue is just all over that floor, and my God, I had to look away. Like, that scene just completely grossed me out. And Del Toro actually talks about that in the special features, how like that was like one of his favorite scenes of the whole movie to shoot. So I was like, you would, Del Toro, you would. But anyway, yeah, that scene grossed me out for sure. The makeup effects, yeah, everything looks great in HD. This is a well-directed first feature from Del Toro, but like I said, it starts off a little bit slow. I think it kind of meanders a little bit, and then it picks up in the final act. I ended up enjoying this movie quite a bit. For a first film for Del Toro, like, it's absolutely, it's great. It's phenomenal. You can absolutely see the origins of this director in this movie. It has his style, his sensibilities, everything that he would bring like in later films like Pan's Labyrinth, even The Shape of Water most recently. You see like his style and sensibilities in this movie, and you see where it all comes from. And yeah, I ended up really enjoying this movie. I'll give it a 4 out of 5 for an actual movie as far as like what I grade it on my letterbox. So let's go into the actual packaging of this Criterion release. So like I said, really cool cover on this one. I really like the cover. It's real simple. It just has the title, directed by Guillermo del Toro, the contraption right there, the CRONOS itself right there. And yeah, you open it up and, you know, you got some cool disc artwork, and then you got this little booklet with an essay in it by, let me see if I can figure out the name of this guy. So this features an essay by film critic Madeline McDonald and excerpts from Del Toro's notes from the film. So yeah, it's a really cool book. It's got some images from the movie in it. So yeah, I think this Criterion always does a great job with their packaging and just the booklets and all the special features that they incorporated in as well. So it's nice packaging. I really like the artwork on it, but really not a lot to it. It's not like one of their digibooks or anything. But as far as the visuals, this isn't a 178:1 aspect ratio. It's an HD digital transfer that was supervised and approved by Del Toro himself. This has really great detail to it, like for an HD Blu-ray. Like, admittedly, when I watched this movie, like just seeing the colors, you imagine just how well they would pop and look in like a 4K HDR format. So I hope that one day we do get CRONOS in 4K, because I think it would be a phenomenal transfer. I just think the visuals in this movie, just like with the blood and just even the little girl, like the granddaughter, there's a scene with like her in a glow stick and like this like almost like rain jacket that's like red and blue, like that would just pop so beautifully with HDR. So I hope that one day we do get a 4K transfer of this. But for the Blu-ray, it's a really solid transfer. It looks fantastic, looks great, some really great details in the face, and like with the makeup effects and stuff, all of that looks phenomenal as well. So getting into the audio, guys, this is a DTS HD Master audio. I thought it sounded great. The score in this movie, I really loved. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. So everything sounded great to me. I'm just listening to it on a sound bar, but I mean, everything sounded really solid to me as far as the sound is concerned. So getting into the special features, guys, and for people that ask, like, why do you buy Criterion releases? Like, it's just a Blu-ray, right? It's just a Blu-ray and with some cool packaging with the Criterion name slapped on the cover. So this is why you buy Criterion releases, for these incredible special features, and this is definitely no exception. So you get all of these new interviews to this release, even though this is a 10-year-old release. It came out in 2010. So all of these interviews in the movie, or in this release, from Ron Perlman, from Del Toro, from I think like the effects artist or whatever, the guy that worked on the effects in the movie. Those are all new to this release back in 2009, 2010, but they're not like updated interviews or anything. But I mean, I can't knock it for that. I'm reviewing an old movie, but they're all great interviews by all three of them. I watched all three of them. I really liked the Ron Perlman one. I thought that was hilarious because he goes into the fact that he doesn't speak Spanish, and like he was wondering why Del Toro wanted him to be in this Spanish-speaking movie. And it goes into like he just kept asking Del Toro, like, why? What am I going to do? What are we going to do about me not being able to speak Spanish? And Del Toro was just like, let's go eat lunch. Like he just wanted to ignore it or whatever. But it was clear like his intentions with Pearlman wasn't really to speak Spanish in the movie, because he speaks English and just kind of speaks bad Spanish here and there throughout the movie. So that was actually a humorous interview. And just Del Toro, I love listening to him talk just about movies and just his love of film and horror in general. So yeah, he has a really great interview in this as well. You also get his first short film. I'm not sure if it's his first, but it's one of his short films from 1987 called Geometria. So this is about a 6-7 minute short film, and then you also get a little like addition to that. You get him talking about the short film as well. So this was I like this short film quite a bit because like the ending of it, I mean, you're watching it like it's very low budget looking. I think it cost him like $2,000 to make. He even has his mom in the movie. It's very generic, very simple, but there's some really good like makeup effects and gore effects in this, like throughout it. Kind of reminded me of Creepshow a little bit, just the style of it. But then you get to the ending, and this little twist kind of thing at the end is very funny. And just kind of it just hit for me, and I was laughing when it got to that moment. So it's a really good short. I don't usually like watch all the short films and stuff like that. I'm just not really into that, but I don't know, this was really good, and I felt the need to watch it because it's Del Toro. So Geometria, I think is how you pronounce it. But yeah, it was a really cool little short film, and it's just kind of interesting kind of origin for this filmmaker. Then you get Welcome to the Bleak House, which is him basically doing like a video room tour of his house. He kind of goes into multiple different rooms, but it was a really cool like room tour kind of thing. And then you get You get an older interview with the actor, which I imagine was probably maybe for like a former DVD release or something. You get some trailers, and this movie has English subtitles for the Spanish dialogue. But one thing I noticed when I was watching it was that when I couldn't get the subtitles for when Ron Perlman spoke English, because I do watch a lot of movies with subtitles because I don't want to miss anything. And I often don't listen to it at full volume because I watch things when my family's asleep. So yeah, when you turn on the subtitles, but you can't, like, it doesn't show what Pearlman says in English. So that's one thing I noted. But then you also get, like, for the intro, you get the additional, like, you can either have it in Spanish or you can have it in English as far as like the introduction and everything. So yeah, some great special features in this, guys. So no surprise for a Criterion release. So at the end of the day, guys, like, that's my thoughts on CRONOS. I enjoyed the movie. This is a fantastic release by Criterion Collection. We're in the sale right now. So I absolutely recommend that you purchase this. But yeah, even if we're out of the sale, I would still add this one to your collection, or wait till November. So that does it for this review of CRONOS, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Please leave your thoughts and comments on this film and Guillermo del Toro as a director in the comment section below. I love engaging with you guys down there. Also, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications for all of those future videos, and we'll see you later.